In here. Hey everybody. I know just it looks like some people are starting to trickle in. Um, I know I am not Richard, I am James. I will be the one hosting today's webinar. Um, I am going to give folks a few minutes because we had close to 50 people RSVP for this. Um, I am also going to make sure that everybody is enabled to chat. I do ask that we hold questions and that we use the Q&A feature here. Um, to drop questions as opposed to the chat. We'll keep the chat a bit more casual. I am going to be removing note takers as well, um, for my own privacy. So don't be alarmed when you see that happen. I'm also somewhat, oh, sorry about that. How do I enable chat? By a quick show of hands or yeah, quick show of hands. Are you guys able to drop messages into the chat here? And you drop messages. Gonna take the silence as a no. What's going on, Mithu? I'm gonna bring you up really quick here. What's up, Mithu?
We can chat or
Okay,
yeah.
perfect. Let me just figure out how to enable that. Bear with me here. I am going to actually let's see here. My AirPods. Excuse me there. We have people slowly flowing in. I'm gonna give folks an extra couple of minutes here, but bear with me while I am able to. Okay, thanks, Jeremy. How do we? Okay. How in the world do I enable this? Oh, there you go. Panelists can chat, attendees can chat with everybody. You guys should be able to chat, drop messages now. Thanks for joining, everybody. We are giving everybody a few minutes here. Should work now. This should work now, Jeremy. Everybody should be able to chat with one another as well as within the group chat as well. Awesome. Uh, Beautiful. We'll give an extra minute before we get started. In the meantime, let me pull up our lovely little deck here. By a quick show of hands, um, whose first time is it joining one of our webinars here? Awesome. Welcome, Molly, to the community. Same with you, Nishant. I know I see some familiar names here, but glad to have some new folks dropping in as well. Alrighty. Well, we'll slowly start to kick things off here. Hello, y'all. I am not Richard Chen, as most of y'all already know. My name is James Wan. I am currently a PM over at Capital One, building for the CarTech organization, building both acquisitions and decisioning infrastructure, as well as designing and modernizing our overall architectural strategy. I am here today to present to you guys um, how you can use Lovable to spin up a website in a matter of 30 minutes or less. Um, I am going to preface today's presentation with the unfortunate fact that I have been close to deathly ill over the last few days. And so, what you guys are going to experience with me together is effectively building this site on the fly. I have not put in as much prep work for this as I would have liked ahead of the call, but I do think it'll give you a much more organic and raw sort of version of the experience. I, as many of you um, am far from a a native expert in Lovable, but even then, I've been able to spin up a number of websites over the last couple of weeks using the platform, and so hopefully you guys can follow along and take away some learnings. Awesome, thanks, Jermaine. Let's see here. Alrighty. For those of you that came on time, I'm just going to kick things off here for the sake of everybody's time. As I mentioned, James Wan, showing you guys how to build a website MVP using Lovable. Vibe coding has effectively made building your first web project easier than ever. For those of you that are familiar, this might seem like a bit foundational knowledge, but what is vibe coding, right? For those of you that may or just start to dabble with the idea of using these different tools. Vibe coding, this is something that I actually learned recently, coined by Andre Karpathy, um, who has worked at the senior level at both Tesla and OpenAI. And it was a term coined to refer to using AI assistants to develop both software and product, AI assisted software and product development. More specifically in this case, it's utilizing natural language prompts with LLMs to guide the generation of code and features and ultimately build and deploy a product, right? In today's session, we will be vibe coding a website from scratch using Lovable. Um, any quick questions before we jump into sort of the persona that I am um, sort of building this from, as well as sort of the prerequisite steps that I put together. What the world is this? Why Lovable? Lovable is just the easiest of the platforms. And one that I have worked with in the past. Short answer. I know that a lot of folks have asked about Replit, have asked about Cursor, right? Our AI product management curriculum actually goes into some of the pros and cons, the comparisons across each of the platforms, right? And sort of the target audience or user base, if you will, of each of these platforms. And so if you are a part of the program, feel free to jump in and take a look at that comparison. I know Cursor is much more technical and therefore target much more of like folks with engineering backgrounds. Lovable is purely uh, prompt based, and so or on that language, natural language prompt based, and so it's a lot easier to navigate for sort of your generic product manager. Cool. Um, so I took this sort of. persona to give you guys an idea of like, hey, like why would somebody be interested in leveraging Lovable to build a website? In this case, right, I am, as you guys know, a full-time employee at Capital One, but I am very much interested in, as you can see, I just turned 40 at the beginning of the month. I'm a product manager and I've been doing this for about a decade now. What is motivating me? Freedom, right? I, in 2026, have a lofty goal of finding financial freedom, which may or may not include employment for anybody else, preferably not, and building out different products, side hustles, and income streams ultimately to, yeah, to buy my financial freedom back. Some of the pain points, obviously, I'm a full-time employee, which means time and bandwidth are some of the toughest challenges when trying to take something 0 to 1. And here we are going to show how you could use vibe coding for the win. And we are going to be showing you guys in an effort to rebrand and build better lead capture capabilities into our web asset. We are building a brand new website. Um, some of the things that I took away as I started building some of these projects, both for demo purposes as well as for my own side hustle journeys, um, are are these sort of um, prerequisite project readiness steps that I would definitely advise you guys take, um, especially to streamline your experience working and building your first web project. The first of these are references, right? Whether they're design references, they're websites that you like, there are features or capabilities, or just overall layouts that you might like, right? Um, Lovable works very well with generic prompts, but if you are more specific, being specific helps as a note here. The more specific you are about what it is that you ultimately want Lovable to output, um, the more streamlined and quicker your experience is going to look like. And so, for example, if you happen to really like the design of a particular website, using that as a reference can really help get you to the sort of the result that you're looking for. Next is having at least some general idea what the site map looks like, right? What pages do you need, right? What are like the themes of each of these pages? What are the purpose of these pages, right? So that you could go into this project with a sort of structure of the website that you're building in mind. That leads quite nicely into content and copy. And so while you could obviously vibe code changes to the website on the fly, it takes up more time, takes more back and forth, and for that reason, takes up more credits, as you guys are going to see shortly. And so, having as much of the content and copy ready ahead of, starting the project is going to put you in, it's going to prime you guys to get through, again, to the result that you want quicker and more smoothly. Last but not least is the features, right? There are, static informative websites, right? In our case, as I mentioned, we are looking to build up our ability to capture leads. And so here is where you could get a bit creative. Here's where it gets a bit more fun in terms of, building in capabilities beyond just static copy and content. In our case, we'll be showing you a feature that I think will enhance our ability to both prime, excite, and ultimately capture a new lead. Uh, any questions so far? Awesome. I'm just going to take a quick peep at the chat here. And again, as I mentioned, if you guys can stick to using the Q&A section, that'd be great for questions that we'll get to at the end of the webinar. Awesome. Just plug these up. That is a good question. I believe you could ask it to output that, um, but you definitely need to pay for like like a premium version of your membership. Cool. And so I'm going to show you really quickly one of the projects that I drummed up in preparation of this, which is sort of rebuilding our product and website, um, going back and forth with like different copy, different, I guess, design elements, right? That I realized was eating up a ton of my credits, and so um, this sort of experiment, help me build those sort of prerequisite steps out to share with you guys as well. And so without further ado, I am going to start a brand new project. And so you go to projects here, obviously see the previous Launchpad project I had built for Rich and myself, going to create a new project. And here, this is just like every other LLM interface, a simple prompt interface, right? Apologies, guys. I forgot to start recording this thing. Here, what there? All right. I guess this is already recording. All right. All right. Just want to make sure we are good to go there. Let's see. I'm sorry. Well, I'm going to answer these questions, but wait to the end. Sorry about that, Chan. Navin asked, does Lovable give you the source files as well? I do not know the answer to that question, unfortunately, but I imagine if you pay for their premium service, you could get an output of the actual code generated, but you likely will need to pay for that output. And I'm again, feel free to drop as many questions as you like. We'll get to that at the end. Um, cool. I have some prompts that I have pre-made that I'll be dropping in here. Again, the more specific you are, the better for you get to start off on. And so you will see my version here. I want, and again, don't mind sort of the spacing and such. I'm going to kind of clean this up just so it's easier to read. So I asked for a modern website for TechCareers.io, a coaching, and I provide some context in terms of like what it is that we do as a business. Um, what I also provided it a design aesthetic reference, right? I kind of like sort of the clean layout of designlab.com. I've always liked sans serif typography, and I like as much white space or open space to keep the site clean. I also provided it a high-level sitemap. We will need three primary pages or three primary sections, if you will. A homepage that refers to both the product and the cybersecurity program offerings. Two pages dedicated to each of the programs. I'm going to reword this. I just realized this can sound a bit confusing. Um, Program section, a single page dedicated to each of the programs offered to total contact us. Okay. Navin, did you have your hand raised for a particular reason specifically? Let me see. No, no, okay. Never mind. Cool. So let's give that a go. Now, as you'll see, I love the fact that it actually, like most of the LLMs and other sort of AI execution tools that are starting to sprout up everywhere, it's actually telling you what it is doing as it's running through um, the operations on the back end. It is getting ready to publish our project. Jermaine, thanks so much for answering that here. Uses React, and you should get access to that. Yep. But yes, I believe it is a purchase. I'll build a premium website for the career. Websites inspired by Design Lab's clean, modern aesthetic, typography, minimalist, hero section for that homepage, and let's see what we end up with. This is happening in real time. I am still on the free version of this. I have candidly just lost my patience for the number of subscriptions I need to keep track of, and so uh, just bear with me there. And I'm sure, as for most of you, you guys would like to see how far we could get with an actual free trial. So, yes, I sure can. While you're building this, I am going to start to look at some of these questions here. Thanks for calling that out, Navin. We are also going to be posting this recording on our WAP. So let me, while we wait for that, you guys are, this is where we will be posting the recordings. And so feel free to join the product management community as well as any of the other free communities that you have any interest in. After you finish your project, does the end user get to download the app or link? You have, so you could both host it on Lovable. You could deploy it to whatever hosting service that you happen to, where that happens to house your current domain. You have a number of deployment options available to answer the anonymous attendee. I'm not sure what that is, but all right. Now it's building this. Again, if you guys are interested in the recording, please go ahead and join the WAP community linked in the chat. And just bear with my voice. I've been dealing with. Can't seem to kick this bug. Yes, you absolutely can deploy this on. Yes, you can. Absolutely. Deploy this on your personal domain. After you finish your project, again, similar questions. You can, where you deploy, how you deploy, there's flexibility. So, long story short, yes, you can. Either there's a lot of people trying to build at the same time. I could tell you that from previous experience, the first iteration of the generated site typically has happened a bit quicker than you guys are seeing now, but it looks like we're getting close. Let's see what it's doing. I actually want to see exactly what it's doing. It is building out all of the different elements, editing them based on some of the direction we've given, right? We want a big hero page. We want lots of white space. We want a bold headline, so probably editing the hero or header font. What I really love about like this whole vibe coding experience, and we'll see as once this gets generated, is the ability to really just in a very like natural language format go back and forth with Lovable as if it was both your developer or engineer or your UX designer or just your designer overall or your product designer, right? So you're able to do things like change colors, change fonts, change the makeup of the content, right? As you go. Again, the better idea of the finished product you have, obviously, the less steps you'll take. But the fact that you're able to interact real time and make adjustments as you go, I thought was probably one of the neatest sort of aspects of the vibe coding experience. Man, did I give it too much? Let's see. Okay, we're almost there. For those of you interested in the code, there you are. Okay, I'm about to say. There you are. This is pretty neat. And so, because I'm a little surprised by the lack of color here, I could tell you that Design Lab is actually very full of color. And so that's probably from a design perspective, some of the things that, that caught my eye off the bat. Um, let's hop around here. It's created the homepage with the hero. It's provided sort of an overview of what we offer, right? Created a copy without much direction. Um, as I mentioned, had I been, had I, was I, if I were to be doing this on my own to actually build a polished output, I would have definitely put in the time to prepare most, if not all, of this copy in advance and provided it on the initial prompt or at least on the follow-up prompt. For the sake of time, we're going to try to breeze through that part. Um, as you'll see, it's created the two pages I asked for, as well as the contact, right? And so I've also asked it to provide a CTA, start your journey, where it actually has created that direction directly to the contact page where we're able to collect that information. Go to the product page. Again, it is drumming up this copy based on just a very high level description of what it is that we do here. And it's actually pretty impressive. I gotta say the copy is probably better than some stuff I could write on my own. Um, it gives you like a framework for presenting your value proposition, a breakdown of the product, like the curriculum, without much direction. I'm assuming it's going to follow a very similar format here as well, which is really cool. Then again, we have the contact page. I'm going to take a quick pause before I jump into sort of the next step here. Um, let's see. Well, does it maintain privacy for my product specifications and IPs? Oh boy, Zoom crash. Can you post a link for the recording again here, please? Bear with me here. I'm going to copy this link. There's that. Okay, Mega asks, how does it maintain privacy for my product specifications and IPs, right? Um, I am going to, and I'd like for you to elaborate. I have a pretty good idea of what it is that you're trying to say. There's always somebody like you, Mega, that um, is concerned with their idea. I just gave you talking rights. Could you elaborate maybe on that question just a bit further?
Um, yeah, hi. So thank you for giving this opportunity, Richard. Um, I wanted to understand how should I make sure that anybody who may have a similar idea for a product
Yeah.
is not basing, so this tool, Lovable, is not basing the output on my recommendation or my prompts or the way I have designed the product and something that is unique about my product. So it remains en- encapsulated in my product. How do I protect it?
So I would ask ChatGPT to read through Lovable's terms and conditions. My bet is they are likely using your prompts to continue to teach it the platform to be better at what it does, right? With that said, every single one of these webinars, hackathons, sessions that we hold, somebody like yourself, Mega, asks this question. I could tell you an idea is worth the toilet paper that you use to wipe your butt every day, right? Like, unless you are building something incredibly technical, innovative, scientific, patent worthy capability, I could tell you whatever it is you're building, what's stopping you from taking that to market is just the execution. It isn't your competition. It isn't somebody stealing your idea, right? Um, Especially on web, there's practically nothing that hasn't been done before that you are going to try, right? And so unless you consider yourself to be or your idea to be that exceptional, right? And even if it were to be that unique, creative, um, you would likely need to provide some sort of reference to Lovable or some sort of description. Um, and I could tell you that a version of an element, a design element, a CTA that you think is unique, I could probably promise you that it is not. Um, I think what you should be concerned with is taking those initial steps to build your product and not worry about something like somebody stealing an idea that has not come to fruition or executed on yet. Does that make sense?
Yeah, love it. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah. And again, you are, I could tell you, every single one of these events, webinars, and sort of like even in-person sessions that we've held, somebody asks that question, right? S- just to build on that, somebody also usually asks, I am a full-time employee, and if any of you ever read an employment agreement that you sign, it is very aggressive. It says something along the lines of anything you create while you are employed at XYZ company can be deemed a property of the company that hires you, right? And so those are all protections in place not to steal your IP, but to ensure that you are staying committed to the job that they are paying you for. And so don't be worried about somebody looking over your shoulder. Be more worried about when am I going to take the first, second, third, fourth, and following steps to bring your idea to life.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
No problem. And so, as I mentioned, we've done this, right? What I'm going to do is give it a quick little prompt, right? Um, I love where we started. I love this first output, but I feel like it's missing color and character. I want to use colors that both pop, but also welcoming and warm. Let's give the color, the website a colorway facelift. Go nuts and get creative, right? And again, I'm just kind of like showing you guys how natural, like how creative you could get with how you prompt this, right? I've tried different ways. I've tried to sound really professional. I've tried to sound like very casual, and I found that surprisingly enough, it picks up, sort of my natural language approach or an intent fairly well. And so try different things, what works for you. I like to really think of it as like I'm sitting next to one of my developers and or designers, and see, how far it goes. I'm not a fan of all this white, and so I'm asking it to maybe throw in some color there. While we're doing this, what I did want to also, as I mentioned, add was a feature to enhance our ability to capture leads. And so one of the ideas I had was, and this is not unique to just myself, but still an idea, right, that I'm happy to share with y'all, is um, providing an assessment or a quiz, right? So that we're able to give real-time feedback on somebody that's exploring a pivot or a new direction or a transition in their careers. And so that is going to be the next sort of feature that we look to build in, um, either on the homepage or the contact page. And so we'll do that after Lovable spits back a bit more of a colorful website here. Oh, excuse me. May run out of credits after this next step here, but I think gives you a pretty good idea of what we're dealing with. Yes. I guess people are hustling today because I guess they've got a lot of activity going on in Lovable. This is taking a bit longer than I've experienced in the past. Okay. All it did was change things around for orange. I'm not super thrilled, but I actually don't hate this like purple orange combo. Don't want to get too crazy with the colorway. This is obviously for demo purposes. What I do absolutely want to show you guys is, as I mentioned, adding on, and by the way, you could obviously prompt this thing as it's working as well. And so don't feel the need to wait for everything to be completed. I'm doing that for the sake of just clearly showing you the different steps we're taking on this call. Um, but I have a prompt that I will drop into the chat as well before. But it is, as I mentioned, cybersecurity, for example, is a very, very broad and massive domain, as I am learning more and more. Um, there are many levels to the game and career, right? There are so many different domains and verticals that are interested. And at this point, every single company with any sort of scale and digital system is very much interested in cybersecurity. Um, and therefore, I wanted a way for us to both prime, profile, engage a potential member or candidates, um, play know-how, foundational knowledge, as well as where they are in their cybersecurity journey. And so I've built this prompt that I just dropped into the chat as well, that I am going to drop into Lovable once it wraps this last footer. To see what it is able to put together. I even provided a reference like Typeform. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but Typeform is a pretty cool tool to build interactive forms This is just, I guess, TLDR, like Google Forms on steroids. And that is the reference that I am going to give it and see what it is able to create. I am also, let's throw that on the home page. Okay, what's going on with, still doing that? Yeah, never mind. I thought we could do that. I guess my free version, you actually need to wait for this thread. So it is going through. I don't know if it heard me, but it looks to be adding more and more color as it goes. So, yeah. You done yet? Okay. It took warm literally and gave us a bunch of like sunrise colors. It's cute. Not necessarily my cup of tea, but good enough. Now, this is what I was really interested in adding here, right? I want to add a multi-step cybersecurity foundations assessment section, right? I'm actually curious if this AI is actually able to generate a decent set of questions. Let's see what it does. Oh boy, I am out of credits. I thought I had also, bear with me. This is what I've been doing, guys. So that I don't have to pay for 12 different subscriptions. I've been inviting myself over and over to other emails. Um, don't judge me. It's been a long week. Let's see here. Which one of my emails have I not done this for? What for? Trying to fill up these free 10 credits. I'll be pretty upset. I tried this earlier. I don't know why it wasn't working earlier, but it kind of upset me there. Let's see. It's going to my email to verify my. Am I? Did this refresh? Ew. Alrighty, guys. I apologize. Hold on. Bear with me here while I try to figure out how to get this thing to give me credit for my referral. I'm gonna have to shoot them an email. Um, I know I've done this in the past. Maybe there's like some sort of limit on this. Um, but yeah, I'm not trying to pay for this on the fly. Okay, cool. As you guys can see, it started with 5 credits. We got pretty darn far. Um, I would absolutely continue to prompt it with adding, I wish I could have shown you guys like swapping out basic copy can be really easy. Um, and also takes up fewer credits, obviously, than drumming up an entire website. Um, some stuff that are much more code heavy or feature heavy, obviously, we are talking about more credits here. Um, for the sake of this demo, I will take a pause here and open the floor to any questions, comments, thoughts. And I do see, oh, the different and I'm going to start just calling people up. But Navin asked, using different emails might not save your progress, right? I was trying to, and again, I had to open up an incognito tab so that I could log in with a different email. I am not using different emails for a single project. I am using different emails so that I could refer myself in order to get the referral credits, the additional credits, so that I could finish that prompt out. Because you're burning through tokens or credits that is being used to generate content or generate um, operations on the platform. Does that answer your question, Alvin? Let's see. There's still a lot to talk.
Hi there, this is Nista. So I've been working on this Lovable project since the hackathon, and I've been unable to debug some things. And obviously, running out of credit does not help. So just trying to like make these links clickable and maybe monetize it in the future. But basically, it's a collaborative travel planning website or app that I'm trying to build, just not getting too far with it. So if anyone can give me some ideas for prompts, I'd appreciate it.
Hey, Nista,
And I,
thanks for asking. Go ahead. Complete your thought. Sorry. Sorry.
yeah, and I have like a couple of security issues that I've been trying to debug as well. Let me see if I can like screenshot it and share uh in this chat.
Hey, Nista, are you a part of the product manage or AI product curriculum or
I
cohort?
am, I
I'm
am,
sorry? You are.
I am. Yeah, this is actually my second go round. But
Awesome,
this time
awesome.
I'm actually doing this full time. Last time I just joined and I didn't really get to finish it out.
Awesome. I would definitely drop those questions into the community chat. I know I'm in
Awesome.
a bunch. I've gotten tons of great feedback. I might even maybe suggest like Amer, Aamer, who I would say is our resident vibe coding expert,
Okay.
um, who could help you. I don't know if you guys have noticed Google's Chrome's like new split view feature, right? You could like split a tab, right? And so have like two separate web pages on a single tab, right? And
Oh,
so,
I haven't tried that.
yeah, you just gotta, let me see if I could show you guys that here really quick. I am in love with this feature, um, especially because like I'm asking different LLM stuff all day. And so you're able to say, for example, ChatGPT and say like, and just literally ask
Ah,
them. Yeah. So you're
got
able to
it.
jump. Yep. Yep. I'm a big fan of this new feature. And I've been thinking, why haven't they launched something like this for a while now? Looks like they just dropped it. And so like definitely leverage the community, but also leverage all the LLMs. Like I think Claude is one of the better like coders, for example, right? And so like providing it, whether it's screenshots or very specific error responses, tends to at least, point you in the right direction.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
No
Appreciate it.
problem. Absolutely. Let's see. S. Chan, could you speak to what actually should go into a good PM? S. Chan, this goes back to a very similar answer that I gave Mega a bit earlier. Doing anything is better than doing nothing, right? And so I start with what I'm working on and or what I'm very much interested in, and that's usually a really good place to start, right? Are you a sports guy? Are you into music? Are you like start in a domain where like you actually have like resonate with, and that typically makes things go a lot smoother, enjoyable. You have better ideas that percolate, right? And so I would absolutely recommend that you start somewhere that you're familiar with. And I will also, apologies that I was trying to call you up here. But if you want to maybe elaborate any further on that question, or I have any follow-up questions there. I just brought you up to the panel to speak if you wanted to follow up with that.
Oh, hi. Hi. Yeah. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I guess what I was interpreting this session about was actually how to create your own portfolio site of the projects that you had built as an AI product manager. And so was thinking about what kind of artifacts might go into a portfolio site for a product manager that is essentially trying to market themselves.
Again, I would start with what like your strengths are, right? Like for example, while this is a new company website, what I think can be neat is like an interactive assessment tool that we were trying to build up before we ran out of credits, right? Where we are not only just like trying to capture a lead, but profile a lead before we capture them. And so if we were to have a type form like capability built into the website, right? Um, it shows A, that you are able to think about improving your chances of capturing that lead, right? Um, Priming and warming a lead also adds value to that lead, right? And so I would not restrict restrict the scope of how you're approaching this in any way. Get creative, right? Again, what what have you worked on in the past? What are some of your interests, right? Like what have you built or interested in building, right? Um, there really aren't no bounds to that. I think the most important thing is that you want to show that you're able to be a self-starter and execute. That is what you're trying to show, not what have I built, right? It's I have built something and I have taken these steps to even build a portfolio website to present to y'all, right? And so that is, I think the missing, I think the point that a lot of folks miss. It's they're always asking, like, what should I build? Like, what needs to be included? Just build something that resonates with you, that you could speak to in an interview, right? Think about why you're building this, right? And then work backwards from there, right? I think that typically helps, like, kind of frame your mind around what it is you're trying to ultimately build. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
No.
thank
Yeah,
you.
no problem. And happy to chat. Eshan, are you part of the program already?
No.
Okay. Um, I am also going to drop the consultation link for Rich, as well as my full name here. So you guys are more than welcome to schedule a call with Rich to join the program, as well as reach out to me on the hell's LinkedIn here. Apologies. Reach out to me here with any questions to follow up. Alrighty, going down the line here. Jeremy, a couple of questions. Do you know how many credits are required to get full setup and running? There's a regular system. It's about 100 credits. Again, Jeremy, like you saw, if you had like all of the copy and content ready, I actually think you could pull off a full-blown static website in under 5 credits. Um, the second you start going back and tweaking things, like a $25 membership grants you 100 credits, and I believe they top you off daily. Not to mention, like, you could get creative and throw in a bunch of like referrals in there. And so, five for like a really basic static site. I'd say a couple dozen for anything interactive at the least. And so again, 100 credits will put you in a pretty good position to get an MVP site out there. Um, how well does it work with data on back end? You can like there's so much right out the box. Like I believe Supabase is their like out of the box database tool. You could even run, I forgot which one of their like out of box CRMs. I mean not CRMs, CMS integrations where you're able to like have a very lightweight content management um, platform integration directly into your website. And so there are, and you could actually ask it, right? And I've run out of credits there, but like, hey, like, what do you guys use for, your database out of the box? What do you guys use as your AI integration? I believe it's OpenAI. And so there are quite a few capabilities and integrations that come out of the box with Lovable. Um, and Jeremy, I will also call you up to see if you had anything that you might want to add there as well. How's it going, Jeremy?
Hey, thanks. Yeah, thanks for answering those questions. I have been using like Cursor and Claude Code for some stuff, but I haven't done a deep dive into like vibe coding sites yet. So this, what I did today actually kind of came together pretty nicely. So I was like, oh, geez, maybe this is just an easier way to get going. So
Do you have an engineering background, Jeremy?
I have a slight sort of self-taught data science and like front end light background. So,
Got it, got it. I also did a full stack boot camp close to 10 years ago, right?
hmm
The last thing I'm trying to do is write code, right? Uh,
sure.
Cursor is far more technical, right? As you've probably experienced.
hmm
And so, again, depending on the complexity of the product that you're ultimately trying to deliver, right? um, or deploy, like Lovable is a phenomenal place to start, right? Like it gets you to like 80% so much quicker than the other platforms, which is why I chose it. Um, you could also deploy and like pull the code and then run it on Replit or Cursor to build out like more complex technical plumbing, if you will, right? For example. But I would definitely from like, especially from like a front end perspective, right? Like look at what it's built for us, right? In a matter of like 10 minutes with a free account, right? Not
Yeah,
to
yeah,
mention all like the
definitely. And
copy,
that's
right? Yeah.
it also kind of gets you past the design phase where you're like, oh, what am I going to make this look like? I
Yep.
guess what I found in the past with some of these platforms is that like it kind of gets you most of the way there. But then when you want it to do something, like once you start getting more complex or technical, then it actually becomes almost more of a headache because with kind of like low code tools I've used in the past, like once you start to want to like customize it even more, that's why I was asking about like adding data to a map
It's
or adding some other like, more like deeper dev type work.
it
Um,
is.
I
It
am
is
nervous
getting
that like if you sign on to this, then you sort of have like technical debt, and then you're like, do I stay with this or do I move to something else?
yeah. I come from the lean school of thought, right? Like that's the first book I read, right?
Hmm.
To getting into product. I could tell you that I have been working with these tools for months now, if not better part of 18 months. The pace at which they're improving is frightening. And I've seen that improvement in capability and feature set accelerate tremendously over the last 3 months, right? And so, like, again, if you're building something that's like driven by some complex algorithm, I'd probably do a little bit more exploration and maybe we could have a chat about that, right? Offline.
Hmm.
I could tell you again, like you could like integrate directly with a database out the box with Supabase with Lovable, right? Like you
Hmm.
could directly integrate into like different endpoints made available or APIs made available with OpenAI, right? Like you don't even need to know what it's using. It's just going to go out and pick out of its tool set what it believes you need to deliver on your prompt, right? You could ask it to dive in, like describe what it is it's doing in further detail in terms of like the specific tech stacks and capabilities it's leveraging. And
Hmm.
so I would definitely recommend that you explore not just Lovable, but like keep an eye on like the iterations of these platforms because it is moving very fast and it is improving. It is building on what it's capable of on a almost daily basis. I want to say daily, but on like a weekly basis, right? Um, I just downloaded Comet like 3 days ago, and I've gotten two updates, right? And so these
Hmm.
platforms are moving insanely fast, um, and I suspect like you should be able to build pretty complex applications, right? Beyond, I'm sure there's a threshold, right? But that threshold continues to rise, I would say.
Of course, yeah, yeah, things are moving so fast.
Yeah,
Have you tried like doing this same prompt with Claude Code?
I have.
And it's
It just like spits out a ton of code. I haven't tried co-work yet, which is what I'm kind of interested in dabbling in. But it just I tried Claude maybe a few months back. I'll be honest. It was just spitting out raw code, and that's right around the time I decided to switch over to Lovable. To be honest, so
oh, okay, awesome. Yeah, thanks.
no problem. Thanks, Jeremy. Jeremy and I pulled you up also. Let's see. Don't waste your credits. What do you recommend we'd have beforehand? Oh, no problem. I actually um, added that here. Like as much pre-prep that you can do in terms of design references, like what do I like? What do I want it to look like? What colors do I like? Right? What is the sitemap? What pages do I need? Right? What does the structure of the website need to look like? Right? Draw it out. Right? Content and copy, right? The more of that you have prepared in advance. And then last but not least, I think the features is where like, hey, what feature am I like hero feature am I looking to hang my hat on for this project, right? In this case, it was lead capture. For yours, it could be something else. But definitely the pre-work helps streamline your experience and reduce credits as well.
Yeah,
Anything you
appreciate
want
it.
to add there,
And
Jermaine?
sorry for the background noise, by the way.
No worries.
Yeah, and I also recall the call with Kylie. She was talking about
Anything you
like,
want to add to that, Jermaine?
yeah. Can you hear me? Okay, hello.
Yep.
Yeah. I was saying the call with Kylie a year ago, and she was talking about like using user personas and all that, so getting that down pack as well. I do recall that too.
Yeah, we couldn't hear you all that well, Jermaine, but I know you mentioned Kylie for a second there. Um,
Yeah, sorry, I'm walking the street. I'm so sorry.
no, it's all good.
But
It's all good.
yeah, I was talking about. I remember Kylie was talking about user personas and like getting
Yeah.
that really cleared up as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's where like, hey, like, what are my motivations, right? Like, what is the goal, right? Is kind of where I'd like to work backwards from. Like, what is the problem you're trying to solve? In our case, it's how do we build better lead capture capabilities, right? Like, how do you like profile, prime, warm a lead a bit further before you capture, right? Um,
Gotcha. I did have a second question. You
Please.
mentioned hold on a second. So how do you determine complexity of the product? So you mentioned like don't use the other tool. I forgot what it was. I think it was Comet.
Yep.
Until like you're actually getting more complex. So I was just the question came out like how do you determine complexity? And an example of like I have an issue that AI probably can't really resolve. So now I need code. Is that like the way? If you're thinking of something.
Well, so like I'm a product person. I obviously have some engineering background, but I haven't written a piece of code other than like some small JavaScript functions in years. What I literally do is I go to each of my favorite LLMs and say, this is who I am. This is what I'm comfortable doing. This is what I'm trying to build. These are the platforms I'm looking at. Give me like a comparison and the pros and cons and why I should, and provide a recommendation, right? Um, because like what what's already known is like Cursor is a bit more technical. Replit is sort of a blend of Lovable and Cursor, and Lovable being just like purely natural language prompting. And so um literally asking an AI or an LLM like a recommendation is usually where I start, right? And I also think about like what is that like core feature that I am keen on ensuring is part of the build, right? And I'll work sort of backwards or outwards from there. Hopefully that answers your question, Jermaine.
Yeah, it does make sense to me. Thanks.
Awesome, Jermaine. Navin, I also called you up. What is the most economical way to host websites? Can you elaborate? Because I do know like GoDaddy offers this stuff at like $12 a month, right? And so, what are your
Yeah.
concerns? Yeah.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so yeah, I essentially used Replit to create a website and I'm hosting it within Replit. Obviously, Replit also charges $25 a month, and
Yep,
based
yep.
on the auto scaling that it does, right now it's charging me $50 a month. So at some point, I was hoping that I could transfer all the source files out of Replit and host it somewhere else once the app is ready. Obviously, it uses a database, so that's why I was asking that, because I was looking at the L version of my P&L and
Yep,
trying
yep,
to
yep.
figure out, how to make this more viable.
Well, congratulations that there is a need to scale up, right? It sounds like you're getting some sort of at least engagement or activity on whatever it is you've built. Um, we could all take a look together here. That's pretty awesome. AI powered marketing for growing businesses. Awesome. And there's a lot of like players in this domain right now that are really winning, right? On just like streamlining even basic marketing workflows. And so I definitely think it's a domain ripe for opportunity. Um, as far as where you want to host, like obviously hosting on a platform that isn't in the business of hosting, as sort of part of the core business, is going to charge you a premium. I would look at like some of the other sort of like hosting services. I think Google is a good one, right? But like some of the platforms out there that are primarily in the business of hosting is probably where you're going to get, the best pricing structure. So I'd probably start to explore those options.
Okay, thanks. I'll
Yeah,
take a look at that. And for
yeah,
folks, if you want to log in, create an account, I would love any feedback that you have offline.
yeah,
Thanks.
absolutely, guys. This is the website we just pulled up here. Now I've been actually dropped it into the chat as well. Um, awesome. Any other questions? I know we're at the top of the hour today. I really appreciate you guys joining on a Tuesday night. I know it's freezing out here in New York at least, so hope y'all stay warm. I would definitely urge y'all to join the WAP. We are going to continue to build community, continue to drop resources as well as this recording there, and it's free. For those of you that aren't a part of our AI product management cohort, um, I believe Rich just dropped 3 testimonials. We have another 5 coming. Like people are starting to really ramp up their job hunt efforts and it's starting to pay dividends. And so if you guys are serious about um, e either building a product and taking it 0 to 1 and or finding your next product job opportunity, I'll absolutely urge you guys to either reach out to me or schedule a call with Rich at the Calendly link that I dropped in the chat. We are super excited. I know the first couple of weeks of the year started off kind of slow um, when I was fully expecting things to start red hot. Um, I'm not sure what it was this year, but it looks like that ramp up is starting to happen now, and we are starting to see, a bunch of our members and folks that we work with grab not just one offer, but multiple offers. And so for those of you interested in, kicking off the year in the right way and landing that first offer in the next 45 to 60 days, please reach out. I can tell you that I am one of the original products of Rich's program from back in 2017, and I parlayed that into now I think 5 different product roles over the last 10 years, and been able to also parlay that into different opportunities like this. And so I will ask for just one last round of questions here. Let's see. Any other questions? If not, definitely again invite y'all to reach out. Best of luck in your product journeys, and it was a pleasure working with y'all. Feel free to reach out again, schedule those calls, join our WAP as we are building a ton of different opportunities there. And yeah, it was a pleasure speaking with y'all. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you guys online. Thanks, y'all.